Yes lads, you alright? It's been a while, but welcome back to my channel. It's been about 2 weeks. Last video you all saw off me was a Wolves FA Cup third round preview, and it wasn't about the replay, I'll say that much. It's been a while. Life got in the way, been busy, but it's also been a little bit hard to find the motivation to come and sit here and do a one-on-one chat about the club when it's in this state and certain problems I'm seeing just aren't getting addressed. But I'm here, I've got the motivation, let's crack through this now. I've got 4 games to catch up on, as well as anything else in terms of news that has gone on around the football club so far in this 2-week absence. So let's start off with the first game in the double, whatever it was, the replay setup, whatever, in the FA Cup against Wolves at Anfield. It was a home debut for Cody Gakpo in the FA Cup. That's how long ago it was, and there was a lot of expectation around it. Wolves at the time, I think they were in the bottom 3. They might still be there. I haven't really looked at the table, but they might still be there now. But they were bottom, I think, when we played them in the FA Cup. They'd just come off beating Everton. We should have won that game. We should have, when you look at it on the beforehand, we should have been favourites going into that game. We should have won that game. In reality, it was another dreadful performance. That has been a common theme since the World Cup. A lot of just really down, bad, dreadful performances. The midfield, it wasn't there. This Wolves team isn't fantastic. They played Joe Hodge. They handed out a debut to a right back, and they just looked so much better than us on the night. I mean, I sort of knew there was going to be issues when Alisson Becker, our best player this year, makes a mistake leading to their first goal, and it was bloody Gonçalo Guedes, who's since left them to join Benfica on loan. That wasn't a great start to the game, but that goal just came from a silly error. That's something that has carried on through a lot of games since before then, that game, and since then, that I will touch on, especially when we get to Brighton. But yeah, a silly mistake, mate. It was a collection of errors resulting in Alisson giving the ball away. Silly mistake, 1-0. But then we had a little bit of quality, just a little bit. There wasn't much in the game, but there was a little bit of quality from Darwin Núñez and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Throwing, given away by Hodge, I think it is. Trent Alexander-Arnold picked up the pieces, drives into the opposition half, sends in an absolutely delicious ball. And Darwin Núñez is a fantastic finish, fair play to him. On the left foot, first time. Brilliant little finish into the bottom corner. You could see how much it meant to the kid. You could see how much it meant to him to finally get that goal that he's been waiting for a little while now. And I thought maybe that would be the turning point in the game, you know. Big confidence boost for Núñez, big confidence boost for the team right before half time. Hopefully now we start the second half, kick on, get into it, you know, all that stuff. And that was how we started the second half. I mean, Mo Salah put us into the lead with a fantastic little finish. Great touch as well to make it 2-1. But the moment we went 2-1 up, the performance level went from, it started off there, it went to there, and it went down to there afterwards. Like, it was a really poor performance after we got the second goal. And it was Hwang Hee-chan, I think it was, yeah, who equalised for Wolves. And he just picked us apart through the midfield and the defence. You could point your finger at whoever you want, but I think everyone in that part was just at a collective fault for not being able to stop that move. And then we get to Totti. The disallowed goal for differing reasons, for an unknown reason. Basically, the VAR cameras, could not capture Mateus Nunes, who took the corner. They couldn't capture him in the same frame as Hwang Hee-chan headering the ball. That was why the on-field decision was stuck with, which was offside. We've seen different angles since then, and it probably wasn't offside. He was probably onside. We did get away with it there, but to all about that, all I'll say is that went against us earlier on in the season against Arsenal when, for their first goal, Bukayo Saka stood in an offside position, but the VAR cameras couldn't capture both Ben White passing the ball and Bukayo Saka in the exact same frame. So for that reason, you know, is it annoying for a Wolves fan? 100%. 100% it is. You've been robbed of an FA Cup 4th round spot because of it. But as a Liverpool fan, it's just justice isn't the right word, because I'd much rather won the Arsenal game. I didn't really care too much for the FA Cup game, looking back on it now. But it was... I like to think football balances stuff out. Football, at the end of it, it will balance everything out, and it balanced it out there. We got robbed of it earlier on the season. We got it going our favour there. But the game ended 2-2, and it was a really poor performance. I mean, Nunes was probably the best player on the night. Cody Gakpo had a couple of moments. You could see him off the left. He looked a little bit dangerous, but he sort of faded out as the game went on. Salah, he was alright. The midfield was poor. The defence, I think you could see we're missing Van Dijk. Even though he hasn't been great this year, off of his own back in terms of what he's doing defensively, the presence he had, you could see us just missing that presence, and I think that's something that has carried on throughout the rest of the games as well. Trent was good again. Trent has been our best outfielder since the World Cup, and his performance against Wolves was solid yet again. I think it was Tsimikas at left back, was it? Or was it Robert? I honestly can't remember much from it. But Alisson in goal, you know, this is the thing. I saw people getting on to Alisson Becker at the time, and even since then, about the mistake. He has been our best player this year. He's been our most consistent player, and without him, we'd be about 15th. We'd be about 15th without Alisson Becker. So he's afforded the mistake. He's earned himself the right to make a mistake, and we're just glad it didn't cost us, in the end, a place in the FA Cup 4th round. But that Wolves game was probably the second best game of the month, which the standard's really low, because next we hit rock bottom. Brighton beat us 3-0 at the Amex. The worst performance I've seen from a Jurgen Klopp team, possibly in his whole tenure. I've seen this Liverpool team get battered under Jurgen Klopp. I've seen us lose games to low-end teams. I've seen all manner of defeats. But that loss to Brighton was alarming in the sense that at no point in that football match, at no point in that 90 minutes, did we look like we could get anything from the game. From minute 1 to minute 90, we were losing that football match. And that was the concern. That's what really, sort of, when I've looked back on it now, was a massive, massive issue. I've never felt defeated before a game, or like right at the start of a game. I felt it against Brighton, because you could just see the difference. They were so sharp, they were so snappy. They were basically what we want to be in terms of the free flowing, in terms of the attacking profile, in terms of the confidence. We are just so not there, and it's a major, 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 major issue at the minute. But in the first half, we managed to keep it at 0-0. We had a late penalty scare right at the end of the first half, but we got away with it in the end, thankfully. Not that that lasted for long, because Solly March, straight after the second half, Joel Matip gives away a sloppy pass. They pick us apart. Matoma, who's been fantastic since he's come into Brighton, pulls it across, and Solly March, one of the worst players in that Brighton team, ends up getting his first of the day. Then about 10 minutes later, after we've done exactly nothing, just got battered a little bit more, Solly March makes it 2-0 to Brighton with a really good finish. Andy Robertson poor again, and 83rd minute, the man who had up to that point not scored a Premier League goal all season, and Danny Welbeck turns into prime Luis Suarez for about 5 seconds, flicks it over Joe Gomez's head, volleys it into the bottom corner, and that just about summed up our day. I mean, that Brighton game was horrific. Not a single player can walk out of that game with anything positive. Not a single one. I can't say anything about it, because we were just that bad. One team was 45 minutes away from a quad last year. The other was having a really good season by standards. You would have thought, based off of that game, that Brighton were the team that were challenging for the quad. That was how much better they were than us to every second ball, every pass, everything about that game, everything that this Liverpool team has prided itself on for years under Jurgen Klopp. That fight, that desire, that never say die attitude, that was just gone completely against Brighton, and that is the lowest I've felt this season. Just watching that Brighton game, just watching us get pummeled by Brighton. Adam Lallana We got rid of Adam Lallana 4 years ago because he weren't good enough. Adam Lallana looked the best midfielder on the pitch at times, while our midfield was useless, and that is the issue. That is the issue, which I'll touch on later. It's one of them, not the issue. It's one of the issues. But after Brighton, it was a real sort of, there wasn't time to lick our wounds because we had our replay in the cup. Yay! The replay against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and the most exciting part of that game was the incident in the BBC studios before the match. That's how poor that game was. Harvey Elliott scored an absolute worldie. Really good vision from him to see the keeper off his line. That was probably our best performance of the month, purely because we won the football match. But yeah, I mean, so the youngsters came out of it really well. That's about the only positive I can say. I thought Harvey Elliott had a decent game, got his goal. I thought Fabio Carvalho played well, had bright moments in the game. I thought Stefan Bajcetic was immense, and he earned his start against Chelsea. I thought Naby Keita was alright. Who else played? It was Tsimikas, Milner at right back looked solid. Kelleher in goal, another one who had a really solid game when called upon. His distribution was fantastic. The Wolves replay was the best game of the month, and it was the one which half our starters didn't play in. In fact, no, all but 2 of our starters missed out on that starting 11, which is a major, major concern. And then we ended up with Chelsea, the mid-off, El Midico, whatever you wanted to call it, the Battle of Mid, yada yada yada. It certainly lived up to his name. That is the most boring game I've seen as Liverpool. I didn't even watch it live. I'll be honest, I did not even watch it live. Instead, I went and watched the full match replay the other day, and that was 90 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back, because wow, was that dreadful. That looked like a League 2 game at times. Chelsea are not good. Chelsea really are not good. And we made them look really good. We made them look dangerous. We made them look like a promising team. And they are not that. But we are just that poor at the minute at times that we allow these teams that shouldn't be at our level to level the playing field, should I say, to reach parts that they didn't think they could get to. And that is a major, major problem for me. I mean, Cody Gakpo, he came in and had high expectations because of the numbers he got at PSV, and he hasn't hit them expectations so far. But I think Chelsea was a real sort of eye-opener, because I thought with Nunes coming back, I know he wasn't 100% fit, but he was coming back. And, Harvey Elliott had a really good game on the right in the game before. I thought maybe this is Cody's time to go back onto the left and shine. But instead he was up front again, and he just looks a little bit lost up front. I don't think he wants to be up front. I think he can play it, and I think if you gave him a longer period of time to do it, yeah, 100% he could, be a good false 9 attacking mid for us, considering that's the role we're trying to play him in. But right now he isn't that. And right now we are not in a position to keep trying to put square pegs in round holes in the hope that eventually, by just bashing them in enough, they fit. No, we're not in the position to do that. What we have to do is play players in position, play to our strengths, limit the weaknesses. That might have to go completely against what Klopp wants to do in terms of play style, but we're not in a position really to be picking and choosing about play style. That's how poor we've been this year, and that's how, we're 10 points off 5th, I think it is. That gap, I can only see that gap getting bigger and bigger and bigger with performances unless I see a change. I mean, Bajcetic, he earned to start against Chelsea, was alright. Thiago, alright. Harvey Elliott on the left is the most stupid decision the manager's made all season, and he's made a lot of poor decisions, but that one, I still yet to see a reason why Harvey Elliott was put on the left wing in that game. His best performances this season have come as a right mid or a right winger. That's his best performances, when he's allowed to receive the ball out wide, bring it in, have the pitch open up to him, and maybe put in a cross, put in a long range shot, or just recycle play. That's where you see Harvey Elliott at his best as a right winger. You can also see signs of that if he was to ever play a number 10, because God forbid the manager changes and plays a number 10. But anyway, I digress. Harvey Elliott on the left is just the antithesis of what we need on the left. On the left, we need a pacey, dynamic player who's willing to cut inside, drive into the box and be a goal threat. Harvey Elliott on the left doesn't want to be there. He receives the ball and he's so nervous, so cautious about the reaction, about the pressure and everything, because he's out of position, that he was just turning back and passing back. There was no drive to get forward. We had it once and it was a deep cross, which Robertson, it's the type of cross I've seen Robertson put in, but it was our left winger doing it. Our attack just looked so disjointed. Mo Salah was doing up Mark Albright in 2016 on the right wing again, being a touchline winger. I'm still struggling to see what the point of that is. He's one of the biggest goal threats in the league. Get him close to the goal, get him in a position where he can hurt the opposition teams by putting the ball in the back of the net, not by putting the ball into the box for others to try and put it in the back of the net, because they're simply not as good at that job as Mo Salah is. So I don't get why we're weakening our strengths to fit worse players in. I'm really struggling to see that. Naby Keita was alright. Naby Keita had the best moment, the funniest moment of the month was Naby Keita thinking he won the penalty and just stand there like that afterwards. He's so proud of himself. He thinks he's won us a penalty. He thinks he's the man. Thiago has to tell him to go shut up. It's hilarious. If you have not seen that clip, go watch it. Go look at his little dopey grin as he thinks he's had his moments. That is the funniest thing to come out of Liverpool in a while, that one. Thiago has to tell him to shut up and, wait for VAR. And in the end, we didn't even get the penalty, so that was funny. I thought Joe Gomez and Konate were alright. They are the best centre-back partnership we've got at the minute. I think they complement each other best. In terms of how we want to set up our centre-backs, we want an aggressor and a coverer. Matip and Konate, two aggressors. Gomez and Matip, I don't see them really being as high quality as a partnership as Konate and Gomez are, but it's still not a fantastically there partnership yet. I thought Robertson was alright. I thought Thiago was good. Milner, can we please stop with Milner right back in these big games? Please, 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 please. And one more please about James Milner right back in these big games, because he's played there against Manchester City twice and Chelsea, and we got away with it the first time against Man City. He got injured in the second one and he was poor against Chelsea. You can just see he's not, when he comes up against a quick winger, it's fine that he's too slow. He's 37. It's fine that he's too slow, but it's hurting the team. It really is hurting the team. But yeah, I think I've touched on all the games there. They were some games then. But there are issues within the football club right now. The news around it. I'll do a separate video on Takeover, talking all the Qatari stuff and everything at some point. I just want to wait for a little bit more concrete news on that one. But regarding the on the pitch issues, we are crying out for a midfielder. Fabinho and Henderson are done. They are so off the boil, it does us more harm than good to play them at the minute. But we simply have no more midfield options after that. So we need a midfielder, but we just won't get one unless there's injuries or unless there's an opportunistic signing on the market. Liverpool should be getting top four this year. That is, if we'd have finished fourth, if you'd have told me you could finish fourth at the start of the season, I'd go, that's a poor season, that one. That's a poor season. Give me fourth now. Snap your hand off for it, because I'm really just disillusioned by the football club at the minute, and the plan and the way we're playing and the style and everything about it has just got me so confused and disillusioned. Tactics, let's touch on the tactics, because this is my biggest gripe with Jurgen Klopp this year. This 4-3-3 cannot continue. It cannot continue. I don't know what you're seeing in this 4-3-3 that is making you want to continue to use it. In the 4-3-3, our defensive line is so high, our attack line is so far forward. There's just so many issues within this 4-3-3 that you could pick apart, and it's a reason why other teams pick us apart, because they have professional analysts who are paid a wage to pick apart opposition teams and tell the manager how to use it. If I'm able to pick apart this team and identify the issues, the Premier League analysts can do that at a much higher level. You have to limit the weaknesses. And right now our midfield, in terms of profiles, cannot play 4-3-3 at the required level unless Roberto Firmino is in the team. Unless Roberto Firmino is in the team, we do not play 4-3-3 well enough. And God knows where Roberto Firmino is, because he was supposed to be back before Brentford, and I've just not heard of him since. Not heard about Roberto Firmino since then. So, This 4-3-3 does not work because of one key position, the midfield. Our midfield in 4-3-3 has to get up and down quick. It doesn't have to do much when it gets up and down, but the bodies have to be there. Right now, Thiago and Elliott, which is the two most used left centre mid and right centre mid, they aren't quick enough to keep going up and down at the speed that's needed. So what happens, especially when Núñez plays up front, Alisson or Konate or Van Dijk or whoever it is will play a long ball up from the back. Up to Darwin Núñez, who will try and win it. Maybe he does win it, maybe he doesn't. But either way, the end result is the opposition team wins it back within a couple touches. At this point, our midfield, so the ball's there, our midfield should be about there. Our midfield's there. So they have a DM or whoever in that space there. With just time. They'll play it into the DM. And he's not pressure quick enough because we're just not quick enough to get there. So then he has his time to lift his head up and pick up a splitting pass, which then takes the midfield out the game completely. And then the attacks start, and then the pressure gets put on the defence, and eventually enough pressure will make the defence crack. That is a problem in itself, and it can be fixed. It can so be fixed. You've signed Cody Gakpo and you're insistent on using him as a number 9 by the looks of it. So just go to the diamond. Go to the diamond, Jürgen. I'm begging you. Put Cody Gakpo into that Roberto Firmino role, since that's what you're trying to make him do. Go with Salah and Núñez as a 2-striker formation. Get your 2 biggest goal threats near the goal and you might score more goals. The midfield will be more compact. There'll be another body in there in terms of Cody Gakpo helping out defensively. You'll be able to limit the amount of splitting passes that can come through. So therefore your defence will be put under less pressure. Therefore you'll concede less goals. I don't understand why when we use the diamond, when we use the 4-4-2, either one, whichever one you prefer, we looked better. But since the World Cup, he's went back to 4-3-3, and I just can't figure out why. I really, really can't. Like, it doesn't make sense in my head. It doesn't make sense. Another thing that's gone wrong with Klopp this season and the team and everything about the club, the in-game management has been so confusing. Last year, look, I'll be open and honest with you. Jurgen Klopp's in-game management has always been my biggest criticism of him. I've always thought he struggled at that point in terms of changing tactically, in terms of getting subs on quick enough, yada yada yada. Last year, I saw a real improvement from Jurgen Klopp in game. I saw us changing tactics, changing systems, making subs proactively, changing the game constantly off the bench, and it happened in big games and it really helped us. This year, his in-game management has been the most confusing it's ever been. And we've had Stephen Corker be our backup striker for half a season. But this is more confusing. I don't understand some of the substitutions. I don't understand. Like, let's just touch on the subs. What was the point in making... With 10 minutes left of a game against Chelsea at home, surely you're going to want to put the pressure on. Jones, Henderson, Fabinho midfield, we lost control. It just went down the pan like that. Naby Keita was who we subbed off for Darwin Núñez. I would have taken Elliott off. Once Naby Keita came off, we lost a little bit in midfield. But I can even point to Arsenal earlier on the season when, with 15 minutes to go, he takes off Mo Salah, chucks Harvey Elliott left wing and Jordan Henderson on the right wing. What is the point in Jordan Henderson right wing? Fabio Carvalho. I don't know what Fabio Carvalho has done. I really don't. But Jurgen Klopp clearly doesn't like the kid, because he wasn't even in the matchday squad against Chelsea, despite playing really well against Wolves, despite whenever he's been given the opportunity to play, having a really positive impact as a player, having a really good influence on the game in the limited minutes he's had. He scored against Man City, he scored against Newcastle, he scored against Bournemouth. His only poor game, for me anyway, has been Rangers away, and he was still all right there. He's a positive player, and I don't understand why you sign him if you're not going to play him. I really, really don't. The midfield, I don't know why it took Naby Keita so long to get a start. I really don't. Like, so many issues this season, I could go on and on and on. And it hurts because I love Jurgen. I love Jurgen Klopp. He's given me memories I never thought I could have dreamed of having. But I've never been so disillusioned with my manager. I've never been so disillusioned. his tactics, his in-game management, his press conferences, everything just is confusing the life out of me. It screams confusion. It screams it. I don't know why we're sticking with 43. I don't get some of his subs. His press conferences, he just seems like a moody old angry man. And I get you're getting annoyed being asked the same questions. But you're doing the same thing, so you're going to be asked the same questions. It's mind-blowing. And the biggest one for me, we don't know enough about how the transfers work at this football club. We don't. We can speculate, we can rumour, yada yada yada. From what I can piece together, Jurgen Klopp has been asking for a more hands-on approach to managing the football club. One of them things was, more control on the transfer market, hence why Julian Ward and some of his backroom staff are leaving, because Klopp wants more of a say. So what was the point in Arthur Melo? Why is he here? He's not going to get banned for a week. Not a week, a month. Not even a week, a month. Because of something he done at Juventus 3 years ago. Pointless signing. Why have we not got a midfielder in? I don't understand why we've not got a midfielder in, even if it's another crappy one on loan. Just for a body, because we need bodies with legs. It's killing us. Not having a midfielder with legs. It's absolutely killing us. Systematically. It just exposes everyone. Personnel-wise, we just simply haven't got enough good players in the midfield. And I understand that the club clearly has long-term targets in Bellingham, in Mateus Nunes, in Mason Mount for some god-known reason. I don't get the Mason Mount one, but that's another point. For some point, whatever. Why have we just not got even a short-term option, a 6-month loan deal or a 1.5-year contract, so we're not tied down to it for ages? This club doesn't make sense. And the Mason Mount rumours. Oh, no. I am a fan of a number of English midfielders. I think Jude Bellingham is brilliant. I think Declan Rice would be a really positive impact in this Liverpool team. I think James Maddison's fantastic. Mason Mount is someone I do not rate. I do not rate Mason Mount. And to see us looking at Mason Mount, it just screams Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain 2.0. It'd be an English player in the last year of his contract who we'd probably end up overpaying for. And I just don't see why. Mason Mount, I'm yet to see the appeal to in terms of a Liverpool player. Because we're not going to play a 10, which is where he wants to play. We're going to play a flat 3 midfield. So he would go right centre mid. So he would be Henderson 2.0. Henderson 2.0 was dropped in the World Cup for Henderson 1.0. Why do we want Henderson 2.0? I don't get it. We're supposed to be evolving as a football team, and all that seems to be happening is going backwards, trying to revert back. The evolution has clearly gone wrong somewhere, but just because the evolutions went wrong at a step doesn't mean you go back to factory. It doesn't mean you go back to step 1. You go back a step, fix where it went wrong, and then try again. Mason Mount does not fit what I perceive this Liverpool midfield to be. Declan Rice does, Jude Bellingham does, Mateus Nunes does, Manu Kone does. I could name names. Caicedo does. I can see the appeal to them. What is the appeal to having Mason Mount in this Liverpool team at the minute? Because he's not a defensively solid midfielder. So what will happen if we put him at right centre mid is the same problems we're having this season. Teams will continue to target the right hand side because Mason Mount would still be the weakest defensively. I just don't understand it. Klopp may like him as a player, that's fine. But is Klopp going to use him right as a player? That I don't know. And I want us to stop buying players and stop utilising players in positions they don't play. Not everyone is James Milner. So please, can we just... I don't want Mason Mount. I do not want Mason Mount at this football club. Not a chance. I think I've spoken about everything I want to speak about. The lights died. It's all gone to pot, like Liverpool's season. Oh, we've got to play Real Madrid soon. We've got to play Real Madrid. Oh, we've got a Merseyside derby soon. And they've got a new manager for that one. So, Lord knows if we'll lose that one. But yeah, no, that's about it. The next video won't take this long. It'll be a... Who have we got at the weekend? It's Brighton. Oh, it's Brighton again. Oh, it's Brighton again. So the next video that will come out will probably be on Saturday, a Liverpool versus Brighton preview, because that'll be fun to talk about. But yeah, I think that's about it. There's been drama all day about spaces and all this, that and the other. Like, if you really care for my opinion on that, just go on my Twitter, DM me, I'll chat about it. But look, that I've spoken on everything I want to speak about. I have done. This is completely unscripted. I have no idea if I've forgotten anything. I'm just trying to think through it now. No, I think I've said everything I want to say. So, next video out on Saturday. If you remember, yes, remember to like the video, subscribe, turn the notification bell on, share it around, follow the socials down below. There's a Twitter, there's a TikTok, there's a Twitch. Get on all them down below. That's about it. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully the Reds improve from what we've seen so far. And in a bit, everyone. Peace.